Welcome to the Dino and Joe Show. This is Dino, the man across from me. His name is Joe. It's a virtual across because we are socially distant by miles.
By miles. We're being very, very... Wait, hold on. I don't have a mask, but I'll pretend to have one just to ensure we're extra safe.
Except for the fact that I see you. You have a. Did you get your shots in Canada?
No, but this is a wonderful shirt that I did get from Canada. Several of my favorite. I noticed that several of my favorite Canadian artists were wearing it, so I was like, well, let's get in on it.
Name one of those several Canadian favorite artists.
Mr. Ed Robertson of the Bare Naked Ladies.
Oh, there you go.
And by several, I meant just him.
Okay, that little rock and roll orchestra called the Bare Naked Ladies.
That's them, yeah. So I saw this, and you also obviously were a big inspiration as you work with a Canadian team presently, and you listen to my.
Yeah, we had this problem in the last episode. We had this freezing problem the last episode, and you, true to form, are frozen right away.
I am Mr. Freeze.
So no, that's awesome. And you've gotten your shot, at least one.
I have both of them, in fact.
Yes, you've gotten both of them. I remember seeing a video on both.
That's true.
And then I have mine as well. So very good. So we are safe and secure. And I still feel awkward though. There's places where I walk into and I'm not sure if I should wear a mask or not. I went to get Chinese food the other night, and there was a sign on the door that said, "You must wear a mask to enter." So I turned around, went back to the car, and got my backup mask that I keep in the car, and turned around and came back, and she was taking the sign off the door. Like,
what I do is I just
because of me. Like, was it because I turned around and walked away? Like, you were like, "Well, I get the sign off." Yeah.
I will just always probably for a while wear a mask when I go indoors. When I'm outside walking, there's no need for that. But if I go indoors, pretty much anywhere, whether they say I have to or not, I'm probably going to for a little bit. Just I don't know, because it's a habit for me for the last year. So I'm like, what's the harm? So
I carry a mask, and if you want me to wear it, I will. But if I'm vaccinated, so I figure at this point, I'm good.
Absolutely.
And I just go in without it until they tell me I have to.
There you
go. But I wanted to talk about something along the lines of medical, right? But I wanted to talk about something that was more around injuries.
Okay.
Right? Every injury has a great story. I have this theory, and I want to know what's the worst injury you've ever had, and what's the story behind it. Now, I have to ask you, because I am very curious. I don't think so, but have you ever broken a bone before?
So, no. The short answer is I am not.
So you haven't really lived, is what you're telling me.
I'm not what you would call a risk taker. I don't do things that would put me in a situation where that would happen. Maybe when I was younger, I did, but my story is not bad. Like, something did happen, but no bones were broken. No bones were broken, and it was just. No bones were broken.
I hate when my bones are broken.
I hate it the same. I really do. No, so I never had that happen. But so picture it: Chicago, McKinley Park.
Yes.
We lived in kind of like a two flat, so there were like two apartments. My parents and I lived on the top floor. My grandparents lived on the bottom. Aunts, whole family were over. It's a beautiful day in the 90s, whatever. I'm maybe 5-6 years old, and I'm playing around. We have a little porch that have some slats, right? So I'm playing around up there. It's maybe a 5-6 foot drop from where I am to the concrete right directly below us, and then there's grass in like a yard area. So I'm playing around. I'm doing what I'm doing. I slip, of course, and I fall. My chin doesn't hit the ground, but I think it hits. I can't remember if it hits my knee, my hand, and I don't know, but it hits, and my bottom incisor goes through my top lip. Like, I mean, it's clean through.
Yep.
I don't feel it because I am in shock. But again, I'm a 6-year-old kid, so I'm like, okay, let's just go around here and do everything. Like, I'm still running around having a fun time. And I think I don't remember who the first person to see it, but I hear a shriek. And then I'm like, and then I like, what? I try to open my mouth and I realize it's like caught in there. Yeah. And then I'll be honest, I think my brain was like, you don't need to remember the rest of that. And I cannot tell you what happened I remember crying a lot. And that was the end of it. I still have a little bit of a little bit of a thing there, but yeah, that's my worst injury.
That's the worst.
That's the I'm trying to think if there's anything.
Holy cow! I have several.
Well, I guess I did sprain my ankle refereeing lacrosse on I did that, and I had to wear a cast for a while. Yeah, that was it. I've never broken a bone. I've never done anything more serious than that. But I'm sure you have a fantastic story.
I'll pull out 3.
Oh, 3?
Yeah.
Good God. Okay.
Okay. First one. This goes along with your story about biting through your facial lip.
Yeah.
I bit through my bottom lip.
Okay.
I was water skiing, and I don't know about you, but have you ever been water skiing?
Yes, actually, I have.
Okay. So you know that like when you're out with your buddies and you're water skiing, it's great to like stop the engine and throw it back up real quick, and then it creates slack and you're trying to pull that person over, right? So I'd been water skiing, and I was not a great water skier, but at the time, this day, I was just doing it, right? Like it was the best day I've had water skiing ever. And they thought it would be funny to do that. And so you have to either make the choice to either let go of the rope and be done, or pull in all the slack real quick, right?
Sure.
So I'm pulling in slack because I wanted to stay up because I was having the best day water skiing. And right as I got to the end of the slack, I hit the boat and it pulled me over. My knee came up, hit me underneath my chin, and I bit through the bottom of my lip. And 17 stitches later, I have a scar permanently under here. So that's the first one.
Okay.
The second one, I've had my nose broken twice.
Oh no, that's a fear of mine, by the way.
Is it really?
Oh, I
Have your
can't.
nose broken?
I can't. I don't.
I can't smell. Like I have trouble with sinuses to this day because of it.
No.
But once when I was kickboxing, so I studied Taekwondo, took kickboxing when I was in college at Iowa, and a guy kicked me across the face and broke my nose. So that was kind of deserved because it was in a match. I get it, right?
Sure.
The second one, I was a big basketball player, and I was playing a pickup game at the field house. And one of the guys playing was a guy by the name of Matt Bullard. And if you don't know who Matt Bullard is, he was on the Houston Rockets NBA championship team back in the 80s or early 90s.
Okay.
And my wife tells the story that B.J. Armstrong broke my nose. I don't know why. She knows B.J. Armstrong went to college and went to Iowa and played basketball at the same time I did there. Yeah. And but Matt Bullard took a rebound, saw I was behind him and threw his elbow out and caught me right up under the nose. Okay. And it popped so loud that 3 games stopped.
Oof.
It was that loud, like everybody heard. Yeah. And so that has never recovered. So that's always fun when they reset your nose. So that's 2, but I'll tell you the biggest one, and here's the worst one. I was on the second day before we had to go back from Christmas break, my sophomore year of college. And we decided to go sledding. A bunch of buddies from high school all got together, and we went out to the park in my hometown where I grew up in Boone, Iowa. And we went down to the state park, and there's a sledding hill. And the sledding hill is great, right? You're going down the hill and you're going down the hill, and we were kind of bored with that. And as teenage boys do, we go, hey, it'd be really fun to go down the walking trail that has curves in it, right?
Right.
And so we're doing that, and I was getting cold, and I don't do well in the cold anyway. I'm not a cold weather person. So we're at the top of the hill, and I turn to my buddy who was the best man at our wedding, and I say, I'm going to go down and warm up in my car after this run. And he's like, okay, fine, right, whatever. So I go on the sled and we're going, and it's not a sled like a rail sled. It's a plastic sled that, unbeknownst to me, had been greased on the bottom with ski wax. Ooh. So I hit this last curve and I see him coming, right? And you know how in like a state park, they have the little parking poles. They're, yay big, and they stick up out of the ground, and they're the wooden poles. So I see him coming. And I'm like, wow, I'm going to hit those. And I just knew it. So I dove off the sled, and I'm spinning, and I'm on my side, and my head and shoulders go through the poles, but my legs do not. And my legs are on top of each other, and they hit the pole. And so I hits the pole across the front of both my legs. And I know at that point I'm in trouble. Yeah. And I'm laying there, and I'm literally in shock, and I'm crying. And my buddies think I'm laughing.
Yeah.
And so it takes them a little bit to realize, like, he's not laughing. And so here they all come down the hill, right? And I'm on my side, and I roll over, but what I notice is that my foot doesn't move as I roll over. And so I just know at that point, right? So they load me in the back of a car, drive me to the hospital. My buddy from high school, he takes my car to my parents and says, Dean's in the hospital. And so
Whoops.
I ended up fracturing the top bone in my right leg.
Oh,
And they wouldn't tell me anything what was going on, right? Because they don't want to, give you
right,
information until they tell your parents and everything. Because I'm still a teenager at the time,
right.
um, and I say to the guy who wheels me out of the X-ray, and I say, "It's broken, right?" And he just looks at me and goes, "Yeah," and that was it.
That's it.
And
Yep.
I knew, right? And then they shot cortisone into the brake,
Okay.
and I could have walked at that point. That was like amazing. That was like the
Good.
great. I was like, "Wow, it's gone. I can walk. I can get. I could literally felt like I could get up and walk out of the place." And so yeah, it was pretty bad. I saw the doctor's report. They had the chart open, and I saw in writing, "Miraculous, both legs aren't broken. Estimated impact speed 40 miles an hour." And
Okay.
I did it
You
up.
were trucking it.
Oh, I was moving, yeah. And that's diving off the sled, trying
Right.
to stop myself. So how fast
Right.
was I going? And we
Or
weren't talking a
initially.
little bunny hill. We're talking a
Right.
big hill, right?
Right.
And yeah, so I was actually in a cast up to my hip for 6 months.
Hmm.
I was in a brace up to my knee for another like 3 or 4 months, and then I was in a walking brace to learn to walk again. And the tragedy of the story as an athlete was I went from being able to dunk a basketball to losing about 6 inches on my vertical jump. I could barely
Oh,
grab a rim. And yeah, and so you have to tell your coaches and your team that you're injured and
right.
you're not a college athlete, so there's no support for you. It's like, oh, okay,
Okay.
and
Thanks. And then that's the end
yeah,
of it.
yeah, it was, and I had to go to class on crutches in the winter. Oh, that was just, that
That's
was
got to be unfortunate.
brutal. Yeah,
In
so
Iowa too.
yeah, we get mild winters there. There's no snow or it's not
Yeah.
brutally cold there, and
Right.
you're trying to hoof it up hills, and oh, it's just horrible. But yeah, that was my worst experience. I'll never forget it. And to this day, my leg, I don't remember the names of the bones because I'm not really good with that stuff. But the bottom bone it was straight,
The
and the
fibia.
top bone, the tibia, right, and so the fibia is supposed to be straight, but because the tibia was straight and pulling on it, it actually put a bend in the
Oh.
bone, and so I have a 5-degree bend in my right leg in that top bone.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, so that's kind of fun.
So I actually thought you're describing these things to me, and I remember another terrible injury. Again, no broken bones or anything like that. It was a bachelor party, but this was before any drinking, before anything happened.
Yeah,
Right? We were in Put-in Bay, Ohio.
yeah,
So
up
it's the
by
little
Cleveland area. Yeah,
yep, exactly. So we drove there, took the ferry across. I mean, I've been there for 3 hours at this point.
okay.
We all rent golf carts, so we have golf carts, and we're driving around. And I see something interesting, and so does my friend. And my friend Mark is like, "Hey, I'm gonna go check this out. Don't stop, Sean. I'm just gonna jump out and run." So he jumps and runs. Cool. I'm like, you know who can do the same thing?
Oh no,
I don't remember why. I think I just don't plant my foot firmly enough.
sure.
I get my first foot down, but my second
Hmm.
foot comes down a little wobbly and I fall. Well, I catch myself amazingly on the back of this golf cart. But the thing is, it's still going. And everybody asks me, why didn't you let go? And I can't honestly tell you. I felt like I could pull myself up, but I couldn't. So I'm just being dragged like this by a golf cart incredibly slow, like 7 to 10 miles an hour. The funniest part was it was a lot of the bachelor's friends. I didn't happen to know this person that well. He was sitting off, so there were two back seats facing away from the direction we were going. He
Okay.
was on his BlackBerry and he looked down and was like, "Hey," and that was it. Like he didn't tell anybody to stop. And I'm trying to yell, "Stop, stop." And then eventually he stops. I let go just before he stops. I run and I'm like, "Never mind, I'm fine." So here, here, and all along here, I am just road rash because it's not like a regular paved road, it's like a pebble road. And it
Of
is
course.
raw, like
Oh,
raw. So I have to figure out what I'm going to do. So I go to like a nearby hospital doctory place, and they're like, yeah, just put this on it, wrap it, and it's fine. And I had a bruise here, here, and here for, I don't know, solid 3 weeks. And it was so sore. We went golfing. I couldn't swing because there was so much rubbing on every, oh my, it was the dumbest thing ever. I'm the person, and I ruined my shirt. My buttons got ripped off, which
Oh
was my
yeah.
least favorite part of the whole situation. But it was that was an injury more of pride than of physical being.
Don't let go, Joe. Don't ever let go. It's the Dino and Joe Show. We'll be back. It's the Dino and Joe Show. Welcome back. My name is Dino. That is Joe. And sometimes the stuff that happens, but you don't see, is some of the best stuff. I'm not going to lie.
It's
Especially
so
when
good.
I absolutely give you no time to prepare for us to come back.
Just okay, go.
All right, go.
Okay.
Okay, go.
So what the hell is that?
Which is a great band, by the way. Okay, go. If you don't know
Okay,
them,
Go is
they're
actually
phenomenal
very
band.
good.
Yeah, I
Very.
love them. Yes.
Their music video is fantastic.
Well, they made it big with the one music video where it was on exercise machines.
Yes.
It's been redone. There's a
So
video.
good.
I'm sure these guys are like 40 now, but they were like in high school and they recreated that, and that's amazing in itself, by the way.
Super.
Not just them doing it, which I understand. I think it might be the lead singer of OK Go. His sister, one of the band members' sister, does all their choreography.
Oh, well, she
And
does a very
yeah,
good job.
that's a phenomenal thing.
Very
But if
good
you
job.
haven't ever seen the video, go see OK Go. I can't remember what's the song. I can't remember the song.
Here it goes again.
Here it goes again. Yep. And it's all done on exercise machines, and it is phenomenal. And then go watch the kids in high school do it at a high school show, which, by the way, is also phenomenal. They do some other stuff later on, but you can tell they went to the well one too many times.
Sure.
And like the second time they do a different OK Go video, you're like,
right. You're like, okay, let's call it a win when we just
yeah. Go remake Aha's black and white video for Take On Me. Come on. So
that's funny.
That's the challenge. Like I said, I'm sure those kids are now 40, and when they hear this, they're going to be like, "Who's this old man to tell us?" But anyway, so I've so digressed. Well, that was not even the direction we were going.
No,
but
that's okay.
And that's what I do. So, oh yes, please tell me you're frozen. Legitimately
well, frozen for yet another time.
Some of the greatest poses. I don't know why you freeze in the greatest poses ever. They're the most unflattering poses. And
I have the most. I'm very with my I expect to see
right
as the little snip in YouTube. By the way,
oh, I might make that happen one day. You never know.
I figured you will. But yeah, no, that was. I don't know. I really need to start paying for better internet. And hopefully. Oh, and by the way, since we're talking about paying, please like and subscribe this video. Listen to us on Spotify. That's how I can get more money to pay for better internet for things to be better. That's the only way it's going to happen.
Like, here's the reality. I don't know why we don't really ask people to like and subscribe. I know we're supposed to. I know that's the thing to do, right?
Right.
Before we go any further, like and subscribe and smash the like button or the subscribe or whatever. I don't know what people say because I don't really care. Like at the end of the day, like it's hard for me to be like, yeah. I mean, we're ain't getting rich, and so it does help us if you like and subscribe. So please do so. But don't feel any
and
pressure.
if you work for a huge company, McDonald's, Rosetta Stone, I don't know why those are two very opposite things, but those are the two things that came into my mind. If you work for any of those companies or other amazing companies and you would like to sponsor us, we're here. We'll talk about your stuff all day.
Joe is a typically 65-year-old man in a 30-year-old man's body, and I'm surprised you didn't be like IBM. If you work for IBM or Xerox,
Pepsid AC, I use your product pretty much every day. You want me to be your spokesperson? I got no problem. Pepto-Bismol, I'm all over it. Orajel, I have a little bit of a tooth pain. That was another great Rubbermaid. I just bought a whole bunch of your Tupperware. Like any of those companies, if you are listening and you know anybody who might be interested in getting a little bit more sponsorship on a super small show that only 31 people really watch regularly, please send your information. The Dino and Joe Show gmail.com.
I mean, Ed Helms hasn't found a reason to respond to us. I'm pretty sure no one else will.
Okay, do I have to go over this again? He is busy promoting Rutherford Falls. He's got a lot going on.
Avenue to promote. Like all he's got to do is respond, and we're right there for him.
That's true. Have you watched the?
We'll give him a whole hour.
That's true. Have you watched the show yet?
And my $3.
The whole thing.
I mean, bribery is fine. I have not watched the show. No.
See, that's why. Maybe if we both watch the show and talk about it a little bit, we'll give him a little bit of an entire. He listens. Yes. He listens to every episode. He's like, I'm gonna wait for the right time.
Right. He's like, I'm just waiting for these yahoos to show me that they're actually really big fans. Right. Correct. Exactly. Yeah, again, Joe will always be the bigger fan, but
yes,
I do respect his work, and I do respect.
You like him just fine.
Yeah, fine. But
we should probably get back to the point of what we were going to discuss today.
Oh, you'd like us to be on topic now all of a sudden?
I mean, we don't have to. I'm just saying.
It's a show about nothing, and then all of a sudden, it's got to be about something for you. Oh, Mr. Success has gone to your head. 31 people, and they're all fans of yours.
They're all, and they're listening to us right now. So
okay, so let's talk about it. Let's talk about stubbornness.
Yes. See,
I had a moment of pure stubbornness, and literally it could have gone a completely different way, but it did not, and it wouldn't, because I wouldn't let it. I was not going to let it beat me. Eventually it did, as all things do. You just let it go long enough. But yeah, so this is a true story. So I am mowing the wheat field that is my backyard because of we got so much rain, and scheduling wise, I couldn't find a day to do it. So I finally found a day to mow my yard, and I'm out mowing my yard, and somehow I picked up a rock in my shoe, as people do. Right?
It happens.
What do normal people do with a rock in their shoe?
Take off the shoe and take off the shoe and remove the rock and continue.
I realize I'm just not a normal person, because that is not what I did. The first time up and down the yard, I said, wow, there's a rock in my shoe, and that hurts.
Right.
And then the second time, I'm like, man, you know what? Maybe I can just move my foot around a little bit and move that rock someplace where it's not going to bother me. And the fourth and fifth time up and down the yard, I'm like, this is starting to hurt. And the sixth and seventh time that I'm up and down the yard, I'm like, I probably should do something about this, but I'm not going to, because I'm not going to let this rock beat me.
Right. I'm going to finish the yard.
Oh, yeah. And then, because I'd rather finish the yard than pause, because I'm stubborn. Right. And then the eighth and ninth time, I'm like, this is really painful. But it's not going to beat me, and I'm not going to let it go. And I am not going to give in to this little rock that has no business being in my shoe in the first place. Let's just be honest.
Right.
And then the 10th time up and down the yard, when it hurt so bad, what did I do? I pulled off my shoe and shook the rock out, and then I finished my yard. I could have done that from the first one.
You could have, very easily.
Why did I not do that the first time?
I think it's the principle of the thing, right? Like, you don't want
that rock had feelings, and I was not going to let it get to me.
No, of course not. Why would you? No, that's not going to win. I would rather have a bloody sock and shoe, because that thing is dug so far into my heel, than stop what I'm doing because it is inconvenient. Get away from me.
That little rock. That thing hurt. I'm not kidding.
I believe it.
And I literally made 10 passes up and down the yard before I would give in. That is just ridiculousness. But that is my level of stubborn. That is my level that I will go to say, I'm just going to get this done. But again, a normal person would just stop, pulled the rock out of the shoe, been good with it, and kept going. No.
Now, tell me if you're like this, if you're like me, because I would do the same thing. I don't know if I would go 10 times. I'd probably go 7. I would definitely give in quicker than you, but that's neither here nor there.
Oh, it's a battle of wills between me and this rock. I'll tell you that much. And I make it out like a rock. This thing's a little tiny pebble. This is
like a pebble, like that big.
Yeah. And I'm just hammering on it with my foot every time. Same spot. It didn't shuffle around or anything.
You should stomp on it when you're stepping. That way you make it as uncomfortable as you are.
That's right. I'm gonna hurt you, rock.
You make it uncomfortable. Exactly. Okay. For me, the stubbornness comes when it's grocery store time.
Oh yeah.
A few ways, right? One, I will never ask where something is in a grocery store.
Oh no.
Ever. I will search I will start from produce and go all the way to alcohol at my grocery store. It's literally opposite, and in the middle there's everything in between.
Yes.
And they move stuff at my grocery store a lot to completely different aisles to screw with me, I guess. I don't know why, but I will not ask anybody.
Hey,
When
that
Tiff
Joe
is
guy
with
was
me,
in a week ago, and based on his grocery shopping patterns, we know he's coming in 2 weeks. Hey, let's move shit around.
I I shop based off of memory.
Okay.
I literally follow a pattern. So when we write a grocery list, we use a phone app. We put it in order of I go here, then here, then here, and then I do it in a smart order and
Okay.
are the registers. So if that's thrown off at all,
Yeah.
I will not buy the item that I have to go back for. Not worth it. Not doing it. Unless it is so unless Tiff was like, I need this for a specific reason, I'll get it next time. I'm not worried about it. I do not care. That's part one. Part two is the real part
Okay,
that
but
I
can I
will
just tell
never.
you, I'm so stubborn to finish the list, I will go back and get it.
Oh, you will?
Oh, that list will not beat me. No, no,
Once
no.
I'm
If it's on
past,
the list, I'm
once I'm
getting it.
past it.
I will go back. I refuse to not get everything that's on that stupid list. And if I don't,
So,
and I've gone out and actually been
yeah.
like, I forgot something and gone back in and gotten it. That one thing.
Oh yeah, no. That
Oh,
see, different people.
refuse.
I will say, you know what? You're gonna stay in there, and I will get you when I'm ready.
You're gonna
I don't need you
stay in
today.
there.
I don't need you. You're gonna stay in there, and their 64-year-old geriatric woman's gonna buy the Metamucil, not me. That's
She needs it
you can.
more.
She I don't know. It's a helpful product. Anyways,
Okay.
again, Metamucil. If you're interested, I will sponsor you. No problem. Dean doesn't have to. I will though. Anyways, so we've finished the grocery run. Everything has been bagged up. Pushing it out to the car. I put it in the car. I get home. I will not make 2 trips. I will
Oh,
not do it.
nope.
No, there's never going to be 2 trips. There are 2 trips. I am a failure of a person. Just period. Because I look at this. I have 10 fingers. I
Yes.
have 2 wrists.
Yeah.
I have ears. I have so many different places that I can hang stuff. So I literally will take things on individual fingers
Oh, yeah.
and thumbs and then put it around the wrists and then carry the whole thing in. Sometimes I'll even do that while I'm carrying like a thing of water.
Yep.
And I make sure Tiff goes in first and has the door for me. And then I'm like, move out of the way. And then I kind of just drop it all on the table. And it kind of goes fluttering everywhere. And she gets a little perturbed, which is understandable. But I brought it all in at once. I don't like making 2 trips. It's irritating to me. It's embarrassing if that ever happens.
I will do the thing where I put bag 1, bag 2, bag 3, bag 4, bag 5, bag 6, bag 7, bag 10 in one hand. And then I'll
Sure.
scoop up like a couple other bags with this hand, but I leave this hand intentionally somewhat free to be able to open the door.
Oh, of course. You have to overload one hand to get the
Right.
other hand to
Right.
100%.
Absolutely. But I live in a world with 2 growing young boys that eat a lot, and so one trip isn't possible.
Okay.
You'd have to be half pack meal to make it on one trip at that point, right? You need a Sherpa and a map of the Himalayas to
Right.
to be able to do that in one trip. I'll do multiple trips, but I'll be no way is that for one thing.
Right.
Oh no. I've left a case of water in the trunk of my car because it's one thing and I won't go. I'm like, no, I'm not going back out there for one thing.
Yes. If it is provided it is not boiling
Perishable.
hot or
Right.
freezing cold or perishable. So
Right.
if I'm not going to leave water in my car if it is like going to be like -2, I don't need
Sure.
that to break in the middle. Or if there is like a case of Coke or something in there and
Yeah.
it's too hot, I don't want that to
Right.
explode.
Right.
Besides those 2 things, I'm with you
Yeah.
100%. I will leave something that I don't care. Stay. I don't care.
Right. I will
There's
get that.
probably still something from the last time we went to the grocery store in my car that I've forgotten about that one day I'll be like, ooh, Cheerios, fantastic. If something
Like,
falls out of the bag, if I take a
what's this
turn too
smell?
fast,
Cheese? Is that
yeah,
cheese in the
that's
trunk? I think there's
if
milk back there.
if you ever turn too fast and something falls out of the top of the bag and like rolls
Yes.
around, that stays. I don't care. I'm not no. You had a place to be in the bag. You
I
chose to jump and get away.
I have a theory that the other items inside the bag actually pushed it out as a sacrifice.
Like a Toy Story,
Right.
a food story, if you will.
Right. Sacrifice you to the food gods. It's just this jar of mayonnaise rolling around the
Just
back
rolling around
trunk of
the
your
back.
car, just waiting for the day that you go, "Wonder if how bad this really smells," and you open
Right.
it up.
What is it about smells that make people say, "Smell this," and then they smell it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm one of the people who, when I was younger, would absolutely. If I, I was, oh,
Oh, that's bad
wow,
to me
smell
too.
this.
Yeah.
I'd be like, ooh, that is really bad.
Right.
Now, as an older adult, I have learned to say, no, thank you. I just describe it to me. If you're really that interested in getting my reaction, just describe it to me. It'll get the same reaction, I promise. Because it sounds terrible.
Right. I mean, if it's bad to you,
If it's
it's
bad to
bad to
you,
everybody else. I I
everybody.
I don't know, like, when especially when it's food rot, it's like,
Yes.
look, I mean, if that's rotten, it's rotten to everybody. Like, there's no way, there's no going back. And even so, like, at the end of the day, even if it doesn't smell bad to me, it's not like we're gonna go back and eat that.
Right.
Like, if
Yes,
it's bad to
exactly.
you, it's gone.
It's
Like, right?
Do you now this is a weird question. Some people I know are super like to the day, and some people are like, when it says expired or used by, sell by, whatever.
Yep.
How to the date are you with that?
We talked about this.
Did we?
Yeah, my wife, 100% on the day of throws it
Okay.
away. On the day of.
Mm.
Right? For me, I'm willing to risk it. Now, I will tell you this. This did happen. So,
Oh no.
I was hungry.
Okay.
I now most people that we've talked about this before too. I eat mostly vegetarian,
Hmm.
but I was really hungry and I had to make something quick and I could only make a sandwich and we had ham in the fridge. So I said, I'll just have it, right? And I opened up the ham and I'm like, I wonder how old this is. It didn't smell bad, right? But it
Right.
just didn't like look right,
Yeah.
right? But I made the sandwich anyway. Totally made the sandwich anyway. And I took a bite and I went, nope, that ham is turned.
Oh,
Threw it all away.
it's the,
Then she goes, "Are you done with your sandwiches already?" And I'm like, "Yep, totally done."
yeah, done. I'm probably not gonna eat it for a while, the truth be told. That just turned me off. I
I won't be going back to ham anytime soon.
we it depends on what it is. Certain things we're very particular about. Other things we're like, how does it smell? Okay. Like we're a big smell group. Like sometimes we don't remember how long the milk's been in there.
Yeah,
And that's one of the easiest things to be able to do. It's just still good.
yeah,
Cereal,
yeah,
smoothie, whatever.
right.
We love salmon. Salmon for us is one of the hardest things to determine because when you open it, it smells like fish, which already
Of
doesn't
course.
smell pleasant.
Right,
And it doesn't really turn a color. It always stays kind of like a salmony color.
right,
Like it might darken a touch, but like I am nowhere near an expert to know which level of salmon is good or bad.
right.
So it's one of those things where when we buy it, we make the conscious effort to cook it within the next 3 days.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Otherwise, it's like, no,
No,
we're not going to be able to eat that because I'm not gonna. I'm
yeah,
no, thank you.
because then you get the mental picture that it's just bad, and then it's just
Yep,
bad from there on anyway. So
right. And
yeah.
then we're in the middle of eating it, and we're like, no, let's just not do this.
What's the used on date on the show?
On this show?
On the show. Come on, what's the use by date?
Oh.
Right now, it's the Dino and Joe Show.